Hello, welcome to my Kentucky Oaks recap, Kentucky Derby recap. I just wanted to give my general thoughts on the race, see if we can find any troubled trips. I don't want to take too long on these recaps, but I do want to talk about them. First, let's talk about the Kentucky Oaks, and we'll see how Always a Runner won the race, and maybe take a look at some of the other fillies as well. Before I start the video, I've had people tell me number 2 Zany was held back by the starter. I don't know if that's true or not. It's hard to tell from the pictures, but she did have an awkward start, so watch out for number 2 Zany, the morning line favorite. And we're also going to talk about number 9 Always a Runner, and we're going to see how they both do in the first quarter of this race. Alright, they're going to come out of the gate, and you see Zany had an awkward start. She sort of came out to the right, and now she's being pushed to the rail by the number 3 filly. And we have Explorer on the lead. I think that might be Meaning next to her. Pashmina on the outside. Brooklyn Blonde. No, I don't know if that's... I don't think that's Meaning right next to Explorer. I think that's Dazzling Dame, number 7. And Always a Runner is in mid-pack right now. She's right behind horses. Right in the middle of the pack. And what's impressive to me about Always a Runner is that she can sit behind horses, take dirt, in only her third start. She doesn't mind being in a crowded 13 filly field. It doesn't bother her. She runs like a professional in only her third start. Because a lot of young horses, they don't like to take dirt in the face. And she takes dirt in the face for most of the backside. And it doesn't bother her. She still comes at the end. Now, number 2, Zandy, is starting to move up on the inside. You see she's right next to Always a Runner at this point. And she needs room. Always a Runner is going to shift to the outside. Explorer is still on the lead. Brooklyn Blonde. No, not Brooklyn Blonde. I keep forgetting that 7 horse's name. Dazzling Dame starting to get tired. I think that's Meaning moving up on the outside. And Always a Runner, now she shifts outside. Zany is right next to her, and if Zany had any run, she could have followed Always a Runner, but she doesn't. Zany comes up empty, so I don't think it was a bad start that caused her to run so poorly. I think she was empty in the stretch run. And you see Percy's Bar on the far outside. She was empty too. So the 2 Ashland Stakes runners that were 1-2 in the exacta are empty. And Always a Runner is going to inch clear of Meaning at the end. I mean, the win did not blow me away. But as I said, it impressed me how Always a Runner took dirt for most of the race. And then she made her move to the outside. And then she took aim at the leader, which was Meaning at the time. Meaning is right next to Explorer right now. And she just keeps coming. She just keeps grinding away at Meaning's lead. And Always a Runner, she just runs like a true professional. That's the best way I can describe the way she runs. And she runs like she would want 10 furlongs, although I don't know if Chad Brown would put her in the Belmont Stakes. And that would be a tough spot anyway. I think the Acorn Stakes would be fine, but she runs like she wants more distance, so later in the year, I would imagine the Alabama Stakes would be a good spot for her. I want to look at the chart for the Kentucky Oaks and then close out my thoughts. Always a Runner, not a flashy filly, but she knows how to mow down the leader. She did it in the Gazelle Stakes when she ran down Pashmina, and she did it here when she ran down Meaning in the stretch run. Meaning is not a bad filly though. Meaning is going to win important stakes races down the road. She just lost to a good filly here and Always a Runner. And Counting Stars and Explorer, I kind of brushed them off in my video. I said, I don't know what to do with them. I'm just going to leave them off my tickets. The thing is, I was concentrating on the Oaks Derby double and who would be the best fit for that ticket. So I wasn't concentrating on the underneath fillies. But they were good trifecta and superfecta options, I guess. It was wrong of me to ignore them. They were good fillies, and they ran well here. Even Explorer, who faded to 4th at the end, I'm not sure if it was because she did all the work, or because she doesn't want 9 furlongs. But at a mile and 1/16th, I think she would be dangerous in any race. Prom Queen, what was she doing in 11th and 12th in the first half mile? She's a tactical speed horse. I know she brushed with Always a Runner coming out of the gate, but why didn't she get a better position than coming from all the way back there? Maybe that was their strategy. I don't know. Percy's Bar was empty in the stretch. Zany, I said, was empty. So I don't think the bad start affected whether Zany won this race or not. I think she would have lost anyway, but Zany did have a bad start. So those are my thoughts on the Kentucky Oaks. It's not the fastest group of fillies, but always a runner. Slightly better than this group. Let's talk about the Kentucky Derby. I did not have Golden Tempo in the Kentucky Derby, and if you watched my video analysis with Siggy Mendoza, we both brushed him off. The thing is, in the Louisiana Derby at Fairgrounds, he had a perfect pace setup, and he couldn't get by Emerging Market and Pavlovian, so I thought that was a bad sign. But it turns out stretching out to 10 furlongs and running behind an 18-horse field where the pace melted down both worked in his favor. We're going to watch the Kentucky Derby right now. Before I start the video, let's focus on number 1, Renegade. Renegade, the favorite in this race. I always thought the rail was a bad spot. And even in this one-piece gate, I still think the rail is a bad spot for any horse in the future. Just because there are 19 horses shifting over, and it's just going to be bad because of all the bumping that is likely to occur coming out of the one hole. Renegade did experience bumping. We're going to watch this right now. We know Golden Tempo is going to fall back to last or around there. A look at Renegade. He's trying to get position, but look at them shift him back to the rail. They're like, you're not coming out here. You're going to sit at the rail. And Renegade is just forced to sit back all the way with the deep closers. And I think that's Golden Tempo at the end. I could be wrong. I don't remember what the jockey silks are for Golden Tempo. But Renegade is all the way back, 4th to last. 6 speed on the lead. Dannon Bourbon, so happy. Dannon Bourbon ran a great race considering the pace of this race. I ignored him because, I don't know, I generally think that the horses in Japan on dirt are probably weaker than ours. Not on turf, but on dirt. I generally think that America has the best horses on dirt. But Dannon Bourbon ran a great race. And who else can I point out here? We have Emerging Market, Litmus Test. I think Wonder Dean's on the outside. Pavlovian is like 6th wide right now. That was Siggy Mendoza's pick. Further Ado was farther back than I expected. I thought he'd be, I don't know, a little closer than where he is right now. And Further Ado is trying to make a move, but he's completely empty. He doesn't have anything. And we see Golden Tempo, Renegade. Renegade is trying to find room right now. You see the jockey with the orange cap. And Golden Tempo with the red cap. He's just going to swoop to the outside. And actually both of them are. You see Renegade moving to the outside right now. And Golden Tempo is going to follow him in a second. And you see Renegade, and I forget who's right next to him. It looks like Incredible, but I could be wrong. Renegade is moving towards the front, but Golden Tempo is just going to pass him. But I thought Renegade ran a great race. Golden Tempo didn't have to experience all that bumping at the start. And Renegade made the first move coming around the turn. We could watch the stretch run again. I admit that Renegade's trip after getting bumped wasn't too bad. He did move through the inside. But again, he made the first move here. Golden Tempo made the last move in a race where the pace collapsed. So I still give credit to Renegade for getting bumped at the beginning. And he's getting bumped right now with that horse right next to him. And he's still moving. And Golden Tempo had a great trip, and that's why he won. And I also want to take a look at one more thing. There was some kind of bumping going on with Chief Wallaby and Further Ado. And I just want to watch that. Because someone pointed it out to me. And I did have Further Ado and Chief Wallaby in my tickets, so I'm not going to blame the bad trip, because I think that Golden Tempo would have won anyway. But Further Ado, you see he's right here. Jockey's wearing mostly orange. Chief Wallaby is to the left of him. Chief Wallaby getting bumped around right there. And you don't know how that affects the horse's momentum. He's moving pretty well towards the end. You don't know how getting bumped around like that affects the horse's momentum. It could really stop whatever chance they had. So let's take a look at the chart for the Kentucky Derby. It just seemed like none of the speed horses had any run left in the stretch run, except maybe Dannon Bourbon, who ran a great race. He had 2 lengths on the field in the stretch run, and he just didn't have enough at the end. The trifecta, well, actually, the superfecta was dominated by closers. The trifecta consisted of the 18th place horse in the first quarter, the 15th place horse, Renegade, and Ocelli was 17th after the first quarter. So they were well back at the beginning, and they dominated the trifecta in this race. None of these horses that were up front had anything left at the end. Six Speed, So Happy. Who was third early? Well, Dan and Bourbon had something left. I talked about him. But Wonder Dean, these horses were all burned by the pace. Litmus Test had nothing. I don't know why Baffert ran him. Emerging Market, he had nothing. Remember, Emerging Market and Pavlovian, they both beat Golden Tempo fair and square in the Louisiana Derby at Fairgrounds. And the pace was too much for them, I guess, in this race. Pavlovian was wide the whole time, and maybe that affected him. He was well back at the end. He was 48 lengths back at the finish line. Wow. It wasn't the fastest race, 2:04:09. I don't think that's a fast time. And I think the bar speed figure reflects that. I think it was a 95 bar speed figure. We're going to take a look at the speed figures in a second. Golden Tempo, he got a pace setup in this race. He's never going to get a pace setup like this, probably for the rest of his career. He's a good horse, but do I want to bet him if he runs in the Preakness? Probably not. Do I want to bet him if he runs in the Belmont Stakes? I'll have to think about it. Why not the Preakness? Deep closers who win the Kentucky Derby have a bad win record in the Preakness Stakes. You can look this up, check the past 25 years, the past 30 years. Deep closers who win this race have a bad record in the Preakness Stakes. Now, I'm not discounting him in the Belmont Stakes because he loves 10 furlongs, and maybe he'll just outlast him because a lot of these horses don't have the stamina. But I truly think that Renegade is the best 3-year-old right now. I'm going to give Renegade credit for getting bumped at the beginning. I'm going to give him credit for making the first move. And I think if these two horses met up again in the Belmont Stakes, I would take Renegade. Of course, I don't know the field for the Belmont Stakes, so I'm not making an official pick right now. I just think Renegade is the best 3-year-old out there, and he's going to prove it down the line, most likely. So those are my thoughts on the Kentucky Derby. Let's take a look at the Beyer speed figures. We see here that Always a Runner earned a 94 Beyer speed figure for winning the Kentucky Oaks, and we see down below Shred Denar earned a 94 as well when she won the La Triomphe Stakes for older fillies and mares. So it's a good sign that Always a Runner had the same speed figure on the Beyer scale as Shred Denar for older fillies and mares in the La Triomphe Stakes. I will say though that 94, it's not spectacular, but it's pretty good for the fillies. And again, Always a Runner only made her third start of her career in the Kentucky Oaks. The sky's the limit for her. And we go up to the Kentucky Derby. I think I did mention the Beyer earlier, but I just wanted to confirm it. 95 for Golden Tempo. That's not great. 2:02:27 for the final time. I think I was looking at a different time earlier. I thought it was 2:04, but I was looking at something else because they have the final time and they have the time from the gate. I think I was looking at the time from the gate, 2:04:09, but they actually start the timer a little after they open the gate, so it's not exactly when they open the gate. The time from when they started the timer, 2:02:27. I still think it's a slow group of horses, and Golden Tempo just managed to beat them because he wants the 10 furlongs, and he had a clear trip in the race. And 95 for the male horses is not that great. I mean, even the slower numbers in this race tend to be like, 98, 99, 100. 95 is pretty slow for the 3-year-old males. And maybe Always a Runner can take this group on in the Belmont Stakes. But I would prefer to see her in the Acorn Stakes. And the Belmont Stakes should be a good race with Golden Tempo, Renegade, maybe Crude Velocity if he wins the Preakness Stakes. Maybe other horses as well, Further Ado, and Chief Lullaby. And I imagine the Japanese horses will go back to Japan, so I don't think we'll see them, but Golden Tempo, Renegade, I do want to see this rematch. I feel that Renegade is the better horse. We'll see, maybe in a month. Anyways, those are my thoughts on the Kentucky Oaks and Kentucky Derby. Thanks for watching my video. I'll be back soon.